Well, we're continuing with the facilitator of the TAB group, the Alternative Board, Darin Myers. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. In our first segment, we talked about partnerships, nightmare or a dream, and we have some partnerships that are on the TAB board in the Augusta area. I'm in a partnership with my cousin and understand the dynamics. And there's another partnership in the group, two ladies that have been together for decades, which is a really fascinating kind of case study.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really tickled about them and what they can bring to the table, and they've been doing it for a long time. And I'm reminded, they have had such good success that at one of our first board meetings, their big issue was they just had they had grown to the point where they needed to, change up and maybe hire a few people and I don't know, maybe had some reluctance or fear of that.
Yeah.
But we're maxed out as owners and we're stretched and probably becoming a little stressed. And so I remember during that board meeting, one of us, it may have been me, that just point blank asked them, what's your number one issue? They sort of spit it out.
Employees or lack thereof.
And then, just the comeback question of, well, what are you doing about it? And their blank stare sort of spoke volumes. And they really took that challenge from the board. And I think all the board members are very happy for them. Since then, they have went on a hiring spree that I think has really not only helped them personally able to breathe a little bit, but more important, or at least equally important, they have grown due to that. And I think that from that, they're seeing that now they're in a little different swim lane as owners, whereas maybe before they were trying to be everybody and instead of being the CEOs. And now I think by these extra hires, they've really given themselves the bandwidth to get back in their swim lane and strategically plan their business.
And we're continuing with Darin Myers. Again, it's the Alternative Board. It's kind of like your own little board of directors, even if you have a small company. And it's online at tabcsra.com. And so how many employees have they been able to hire? Because for anyone watching, here, it's a challenge to find really good staff.
Right. Well, I think they've hired at least almost 30% more people.
Wow.
I don't know if I want to get into the numbers entirely. One of the things is, in the TAB board, we try to maintain some confidentiality, and I don't want to provide any more than I need to. But the point is that they have taken the challenge that they had. The board gave them, I think, some confidence, helped reinforce it. It took several months for iterations to go through. But now that their first hire came, and then really I think their second, third, and many other hires have since come easier to them. And I think they're only, the sky's the limit for those two.
And as I recall, I don't think it was traditional methods necessarily to bring in new people. I remember us sitting around the table and just offering out-of-the-box ideas.
Well, there's a couple things, and we've had an episode when it comes to hiring, desperation. You sort of roll the dice and go with what you are presented. And we've challenged them. I say often, no hire is better than a bad hire.
Right.
And so although you can't guarantee success, I think it's incumbent upon the interviewer to vet out. It's really truly a two-way street, right? It's not only the employer interviewing the employee, but you want to give the employee an opportunity to make sure that this feels right for them as well. And I think in the past 6 months or 9 months, in 2022, we've had labor shortages, and I think owners have had that opportunity or vulnerability, rather, of being desperate and maybe going out on a limb and trying something out. I think these two that we're talking about have not only hired, they've taken their time, done it right, got discouraged, interviewed people, did the right thing and didn't hire the wrong person, and instead hung in there and finally got to themselves where they did find 3 or 4
Yeah.
employees that they were very pleased with, but it took time.
Yeah.
And to your question specifically, I don't think there was we've all heard of the multi-channel marketing. I think in this case it was multi-channel hiring. I don't think it was necessarily any one angle but I think they put a lot of fishing lines in the water.
Yes.
And they caught some fish, but rather they didn't just use one fishing line, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and they always seem to be very fair. I remember a discussion just about how can we make this appealing in terms of work-life balance for our employees, like personal time off, and how do we figure that? Like, these are the things that they're putting their efforts and time in because it is an investment in their people.
Well, yeah, and this is exactly an example in my mind indicative of how well they're doing and how they're growing. I mean, frankly, a lot of large corporations call it PTO or paid time off, and small businesses sometimes don't go that route. But they have, the last issue they brought at the board was wanting some, just some information on how does corporate America do PTOs and so on and so forth. And I just think it's a great example of them moving their business forward, knowing that they're small business owners. There's a finite number of labor out in the society,
Mm-hmm.
And that they got to make their jobs attractive, and they got to compete with a limited talent pool. And so they went back and looked at expanding their possibilities. So to me, there's another example of how well they're doing.
That's right. That's very, very well said. And again, Darin Myers is the facilitator of the TAB board and the CSRA, the alternative board. And for those who don't know, how often do we meet, and how does one-on-one coaching play into things as well?
Well, I would say the two main camps for our members is, one, we do a 4-hour monthly meeting, same day, same time, once a month, where we really have a confidential, safe place to talk about our issues or opportunities. In addition to that, on a separate day of the week, I do one-on-one coaching individually with them. And it's a case-by-case basis. There are some things that I'm working in the coaching sessions on that are very strongly correlated with what they're hearing in the board. There's other times where our coaching sessions are unique and different. So we certainly don't make the boards, it's about practicality and real-world advice. I don't try to make it an academia session. But so, for example, if someone had some issues with reading a profit and loss or balance sheet, or just need to be freshened up on a particular academic session, that could be something I could cover and we could go in the coaching session.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a combination of both. Coaching sessions can be things that are related to the board, and they can be independent.
Yes, and in every monthly meeting around the table, everyone's given an opportunity to talk about if there's an issue confidentially within the company, or if there's an opportunity, maybe there's a chance to add more employees, add another division to the company,
buy a
move
new business
to Aiken, buy a new business. It's fascinating. Anything else before we scoot you wanted to add?
Well, I just happened to be talking to a bank this morning, and one of the things that came up in that discussion was that I find it very cool that at the end of our board meetings, we have a last agenda item is, what's your major takeaway? And it's a good 70% of the time, the takeaway that they really liked was not what they were given about their particular issue.
Yeah.
But rather what somebody around the table got told about their particular item.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in other words, you're getting to learn from other people, and you're getting to put hard knocks and lessons learned in your memory banks without necessarily feeling them.
Right.
And I love the fact that you learn from other people.
Yes.
And so I just think that's fascinating. So to me, we talk about diverse wisdom on your issue and differing peer advice and the accountability piece of making you meet your commitments, which I think is important. I think the idea that you're also getting to learn from other people and maybe therefore not preventing that mistake in the future is something that's invaluable as well.
Agreed. And again, for more information, 2 places to go. You could go to tabcsra.com, or Darin's also a thought leader on our website, augustabusinessdaily.com. If you're not a member, become one. And again, all the content's included, and we're happy to have Darin be part of it. Thank you, sir. We're still in COVID, so
yeah, well,
a little bit.
I noticed, about 5 or 6 months ago, you challenged me to a tennis match. You have sort of run away from
I'm
that.
ready.
Are you, or golf, or
no, we'd better be tennis.
Okay.
We had 100 handicap, for crying out loud. Thank you, sir.
All right, see you.
Okay, bye.